All right. Good afternoon, fifth hour. Even if you have not finished that warm up activity, that is perfectly okay. Just keep working on it. It should only take you a couple more minutes. As you can see from that warm up activity, we are going to be talking about religion for the next week or so. We're going to be talking about the five major world religions, and we're also going to give you an opportunity to do a little bit of research on your own, talking about different types of religions and their impact on history. It is important to note that the reason we usually start this part of the school year with a unit on religion is because it does have a big impact on important moments in history. It's important to understand the backstories behind religions, their different workings, why they react to certain things the way they do, based on their history and their core beliefs. So we are going to spend the next week or so getting down to each of the five major religions, talking about how they started, talking about their core beliefs, things of that nature, because we will be able to use this knowledge later on in the semester when we're talking about different historical events in our world history class. It is also important to note, I put on that sheet, when we are talking about religion, it is crucial that we are all respectful about religions and of one another. We're not going to get into deep moral conversations about what you believe and what you don't believe as far as your personal religious beliefs. So it is very important that when we are talking about religions that we use respectful language. We do not talk down or belittle any different cultural ideas behind religion, because you do not know who you could be offending, who you could be talking down to, or belittling by your comments. So make sure we're using respectful language when we're talking about religion. Today, we are going to talk about Judaism, the first of the five major world religions. We're going to watch a video that gives you some background information, and then we're going to do an activity. Does anybody have any questions on the warm-up? They need some clarification on what I'm looking for. They can't find the Google Doc. They don't know what you need to do for it before we move on to today's lesson. All right, if there are no questions, I'm going to share my screen so we can watch a video. If you have not finished that warm-up, you are welcome to continue working on it while we watch this video. Make sure it is submitted by the end of the hour. Like I said, it should only take you a couple more minutes, but make sure those are done so you can get your easy 10 warm-up points. Also remember that when we use Zoom, I cannot mute my mic, so bear with me on the feedback from the microphone. We will do our best. It shouldn't be too bad because it's just a short video.
Judaism can trace its origin back some 4,000 years to a group of people called the Hebrews in Mesopotamia. Later to be known as the Israelites, they were one of the many tribes.
Sorry guys, give me just a second. We got somebody else joining us.
Tribes who worshipped many gods, but over time developed two key teachings that set them apart from other religions. The first was monotheism, the belief that there was only one true God, and the second was the concept of the covenant, that this God chose to make a deal with them as his chosen people. Technically, the founder of Judaism is Moses, but Jews can trace their heritage back to Abraham, who, according to the book of Genesis, was chosen by God to be the father of a great nation. God made his first covenant with Abraham, saying that his descendants would be God's chosen people, and then, through the story of Moses, we see God acting in history on behalf of the Jews to lead them out of slavery in Egypt. Abraham could be considered the father of Judaism, but Moses is their greatest prophet, having received the Ten Commandments at Mount Sinai, and eventually leading the people into the Promised Land, Canaan, later known as Palestine and Israel. Jewish civilization prospered after the Exodus, headed by powerful kings like Saul, David, and Solomon, who built the first great temple in Jerusalem, which became the focus of the faith because it housed the Ark of the Covenant. In 586 BCE, the Babylonians overran Jerusalem and destroyed the temple. This caused a crisis of faith because many Jews believed their God had been defeated by the Babylonian gods. The prophet Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Ezekiel said otherwise. They proclaimed that God was punishing the people for their sins. The second temple was built around 538 BCE to be destroyed by the Romans in 70 CE. This destruction was decisive for the future of Judaism, replacing a sacrificial religion based around a temple with a tradition of studying and learning centered around local synagogues. By around 100 CE, the canon of the Hebrew Bible was fixed. Between 200 and 700 CE, scholars compiled the Mishnah, the definitive code of Jewish law. The Talmud, written interpretation of the scriptures, was compiled and the rules for the Jewish calendar were laid down. These scriptures and teachings were the basis of the religious worship that was practiced around the world during the Jewish diaspora. The two defining modern events for this community in exile were the Holocaust, in which over 6 million Jews were killed by the Nazis, and the creation of the Jewish state of Israel in 1948. The key beliefs of Judaism are monotheism. There is one God who is transcendent, omnipotent, just, and reveals himself to human beings. The Hebrew word for this one true God is Yahweh. Jews believe that people should try to develop a relationship with God through prayer. At the heart of Jewish prayer is the idea that God listens, that prayer is a conversation between the people and the Creator. Since people are made in God's image, there is no original sin or instinctive evil in humanity. The core text is the Torah, or Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the Bible revealed to Moses. The Talmud is the written interpretation and development of the Hebrew Scriptures. And Orthodox Jews follow strict dietary laws. Kosher, meaning suitable, is the word used to describe food prepared in accordance with religious law. There are 3 main groups within Judaism: Reform Jews, Orthodox Jews, and Conservative Jews. And most Jewish festivals are practiced by all as acts of remembrance for key events in the history of the people.
All right, so that serves as a little background information on what we are going to be talking about today. What I'm going to have you do next is go into the Google Classroom and pull up the assignment that says 5 major religions, Judaism, and you're going to follow along, and I'm going to explain what your assignment for today is. So I'll give you just a second to pull up that Google Doc so that you can see what I'm looking at, and I will explain it to you. While you were pulling that up, there are a couple things I did not include on here on accident that I want to clarify. First, I will give you the link for that video, and it will help with some of the answers to the assignment you're going to have. But primarily, you're going to be using Google or other internet resources like we have for a few other assignments. So just make sure you're finding good, reliable sources, but all these questions you'll be able to find using the internet. The only other thing, which I do think I put on the assignment, when you're typing in your answers, please type in a font color that is different than the one I chose. So I have a bold black color. So please use like pink, purple, green, blue, whichever color you choose. Just make sure it's different than what I used so I can find your answers easily. So everybody should have this sheet in front of them. Did anybody have any problems finding it? If you did, just unmute your mic so I can help you out find it. All right, so I'm going to assume there are no problems finding this worksheet. So the first part are a few questions. How did Judaism start? What is the holy book? Who is their deity? Who are some important people in Judaism? What are the basic rules they follow, and when did it start? The next part you are going to do is a timeline. I gave you some specific dates, and I would like you to find out what those years mean in terms of importance for major events in Judaism. Again, there are some great timeline resources out there that should help you find these. You do not have to write in full sentences or paragraphs, just something short and sweet that explains it thoroughly will do. The last part, there is about 12 key terms in for this part, and I just need you to define those. Monotheism, Hebrew, covenant, prophet, Yahweh, Torah, so on and so forth. There are 12 of them. You just need to define them. Is there any questions on what I'm looking for this worksheet? Go ahead and
Yeah.
Who's Kareem? Yeah, go ahead.
Uh, c- I don't really understand what you mean to do for like the timeline thing.
You're just going to look for those dates that I gave you. Those are specific dates in the history of Judaism. They're important moments, important years. So you're just going to look up what was the important event that happened that year in Judaism.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so you guys have the choice. We're going to do just majority rules here. Do you want to work individually or do you want to work in groups? If you want to work in groups, type a number 1 into the chat. All right, so am I getting that we just want to work on this individually for a little while? Okay, so stay in the chat. I'll let you guys work for about 15 minutes. Go ahead and unmute yourselves if you have any questions. You do not have to have this done in 15 minutes. But we're going to go over some answers in about 15 minutes, and I'm going to ask questions. So make sure you're working on this diligently. Like I said, if you do have questions, just unmute your mic, and I will help you with whatever you got. You are welcome to start working now. I just put into the chat the link for the YouTube video we watched. If anybody would like to use that to work on their assignment, like I said, it'll probably only answer a handful of the questions on there, but it is a resource if you would like to use it. Huh?
Is that you right now?
Yeah,
Okay.
My-
5 per group again?
they didn't want to work in groups, so they were just working on their own.
Cool.
Yeah.
That works out. Some kids are like that, some students are like that.
Yeah. I figured I'd give them the option because this is one that doesn't really need it, but
Yeah, $5 works out. And then the penalty is in this list, I just that below.
yeah, yeah.
So, the responses too, I think, their word turn is pretty decent.
It's the second hour is kind of a hard one, and sixth sometimes.
Yeah,
But the just normal world history class is pretty good.
yeah.
And first and seventh are really good too.
Yeah, so I'm gonna put in those grades right now for, that last activity we did.
For the movie.
Yeah.
Yep, they're all updated in Google Classroom, so they should be good to go.
And you guys let me know if there's any, you know?
Actually, I might have before you put it in there. Let me see.
What I'm looking for is Friday, you know, to have it all like updated again.
Right.
So by, you can give it to me by tomorrow. Any
Okay.
updates,
Sounds good.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. So now all the worlds apart things should be good.
I think I might do that. Warm up 2 days, see here. I'll do it tomorrow. Warm ups. What will you do today?
Oh yeah, because that one will be due tonight. So
I'll
yeah,
put that in tomorrow.
Okay.
At the end of the night,
sounds good.
just so, well, maybe that might be the one that we'll start with the next week, you know, for those in.
Yeah, because
Because 2, 4, 6, that's.
because 2, 4, 6s would be due like tomorrow night at
So that might
11:59.
be the first assignment next week.
The warm up and then this thing. Yeah.
It should be good, because we started off with,
Yeah, I'm giving both groups. So technically the evens
yeah,
have less time, like a day less, but they'll all have till Sunday night to do this longer assignment. So I want them to understand that worksheet because, like I said, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we're just going right through the other 4.
the same thing, same worksheet.
So they need to make sure like they get the format of what we're looking for,
Yeah,
so that we can just go one a day and be done with it.
cool. I like that.
Especially
That way
because
we might be ahead of the other classes then, by then,
that'd be nice.
you know? I know.
That'd be nice.
It is. But the honors roll history, we kind of go at our own pace, you know, our own, nobody else does that.
Right. Yeah, it was one of those things I was thinking about it yesterday. It was like, it'd just be nice to at least in the same ballpark. Like if all the honors are on religion, or if the world's on religion, we might as well start with religion with that.
No, that's good, because they might have friends in other rules and history classes, and wonder, why are we doing what you do?
Right.
So it's good that we're doing it.
Yep. I'm going to give you guys about 7 more minutes. So at about 1 o'clock, we're going to come back together as a group and talk about some of the answers. If you are having problems finding something or you don't understand what you need to do, just go ahead and unmute your mics or type in the chat, and I will answer any questions you have.
We have to do attendance too for show.
Let me see. I can tell you who was there.
Not sure. I'll tell you who's missing from all the classes. So it was Mackenzie Harrison there,
Yes.
and Zona Odie.
Zono was not there, and Tasneem Jabara was not there. Patrick, okay, everybody else was there.
How old they are.
Let's see what we got. 5th hour.
There's Nathan Johnson excused today. He's prearranged excused absent. But,
Which is he's here right now.
oh, you can ask him. You're excused.
He probably has to leave sometime soon because that's the one that was like They just texted our coaches this morning. It was like, I have an orthodontist appointment. I'll miss the first quarter.
Oh,
Like, come on, man.
that's what you're talking about as well.
You know when the games are.
And then Brooklyn Murphy is absolute.
No, Brooklyn Murphy's here.
And then the other one here is Nawan Blair.
Blair? Last name Blair, you said?
Yeah. Oh, that's for the first one. When do I, when we're third hour, she's part of this person absent, it's not even supposed to be absent. They're, no part of the first one, she's absent. So is there NFL football game tonight, Thursday football?
Yeah, I guess it's technically NFL. It's like the Jets and I forgot who they're playing, but it's
Like Washington, it's,
just I think they're playing the Broncos.
It's still raining out.
Or are they thinking just where'd you want to stack some of these desks up at? Just like in the back of the room, or
Yeah, I was gonna do that tomorrow.
That works.
I think I might push it. Let's see here. We gotta keep this door open, we gotta keep that door open. So I might just push it all that corner over there. Stack them up, you know?
yeah, because you got 30 desks, and we're only having like 15 a day, right? Or 15 an hour.
15. So I think I'll keep 15 desks, I'll rest and stack over there, and put them on top of each other, the desks,
Sounds good.
all that corner over there. 'Cause I really don't need to get into that
Okay.
closet there.
Sounds
And
good.
I'll do that, well, my plan was to do that tomorrow.
Right on.
And then have the room kind of set up, you know, ready to go. So we can maintain the 6 feet. And that sign of the desks too, that first day, Monday, Tuesday. We'll have the signed desks, you might just go out on the board.
Sounds good.
Although, sometimes I'll be honest with you, I think I'll just let it sit wherever I want, you know, and then wait for the sign in there, you know.
Like write that into your seating chart once
Yeah,
it's
you can sit wherever you want, but this is gonna be the seating chart.
right.
So it's just some, then later on, I guess we'll find out if kids, like, if they can't see, move up, or
That makes sense.
some parents, want the kids to move front row, but,
Oh, right.
you won't know that for a while, but I'll start off the year wherever they sit,
Yeah, that makes sense.
so. I think, when you do that, I think every class needs to do it because, COVID, kid sits here, and like these kids need to know, maybe you got COVID, you know? I wonder if that's something we gotta keep aware of.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but yeah, probably knowing
Like,
what seat they were.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess in the classroom it doesn't make
The
a
whole-
huge
the whole
difference.
class, like, they need to be informed, you know?
Right.
But, yeah, this is, a lot of teachers are scared that these kids are coming in, you know, but it's, to me, it's you gotta do what you gotta do, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
So,
I think you can,
I don't know.
you could, the school's gonna do everything they can.
Yeah.
I mean,
They have,
put the procedures in place the best that
Yeah.
they can make happen,
what's,
but,
all that stuff they give us right here is ready to go, so the kids have masks.
but I mean, I've talked to multiple kids, like on the team that are just like, we're not really learning anything. Like, yeah, I get it. I get it.
That's tough, you know that?
Online classes are not for the majority of people. There's,
Well, like, my wife still, she's having a hard time, because those kids that never go, are supposed to like log in like at 8, and they're on there, like they have 5-minute breaks between classes, you know?
Oh, okay.
And this is hard to, it's hard to keep them on,
yeah, absolutely.
and it's really coming out now.
I saw that. Hopefully it gets over it and is just done. All right, it's okay if you are not done. We are going to go over some things on that sheet. I am going to ask for volunteers, so it'd be great if some people could volunteer so I don't have to call on people. And if you could unmute your mic, because I'm going to be looking at my screen here, I won't be able to read the chat. So talking about Judaism, who is their deity?
God.
Okay, more specifically for them, what's their the name of their deity?
Allah? Allah?
Nope, not for Judaism.
Oh, wrong one.
Was anybody else able to find it?
Is it Hashem?
Nope, we're looking for Yahweh would be the name. It's Y-A-W-Y-E-H? Or sorry, let me look up the spelling of that. It's on that sheet later on in the definitions.
It's Y-A-H-W-E-H.
Yes. Thank you. Y-A-H-W-E-H. Let's look at another one. What are some of their core beliefs? What are some of the core beliefs in Judaism?
The Ten Commandments.
Okay, very good. Can I get another volunteer? Nobody found anything else for basic rules they follow?
There's only one God.
Okay. So they are monotheistic. Good. Let's go down to the timeline. What did you guys find for 950 BCE?
Solomon builds the first temple on Mount Moriah.
Excellent, Jazz. Thank you. King Solomon builds the first temple. Good job. How about, let's see. Did anybody find 1492? Was anybody able to find what happened in 1492? What happened in 1492 was Jewish people were expelled from the country of Spain, so they were forced to leave Spain. Did anybody get down to the definitions, the key terms?
How do you find the dates?
What's that?
How do you find the dates? What do you search?
Well, what I would do is I would look for a timeline of key events in Jewish history or in Judaism. There will be lots of good resources out there that'll give you pretty good timelines of events that occurred in Judaism in their history.
What did you say happened in 1492?
Jewish people were expelled from the country of Spain. They were forced to leave the country of Spain. And as you go through your timeline, you will see that that is a common theme for Jewish people. Every time they take a step forward, usually things seem to happen that sets them back. Temples are built and temples are destroyed. They are asked to leave countries. You will see as you get farther down in that timeline, things get a lot more gruesome. Let's look at definitions. Can anybody give me a definition for monotheism?
That means that they believe in only one God, no other, just one deity.
Excellent. They believe in one God. Thank you, Michael. How about the Torah? Can somebody give me a definition for the Torah of what that is?
They are the first 5 books of the Tanka.
Excellent. Thank you. So it is the first 5 books of the Tanka. They're religious books that will also more than likely be part of your answer for, I believe it's number 2 at the top. Yes, what is the holy book? All right, so are there any questions on this assignment? I know that most of you probably have a little more work to do on it, which is perfectly okay. But is there any problems that you ran into with it? All right, then I need to remind you of a couple things, talk about a couple more things really quick, and I will let you go. First, in Google Classroom, I'm going to keep reminding you for a couple